everyone, what's up? This is Uri for Guerrilla Poker, and in this video I'm going to be analyzing a hand played between Moonistar and Nacho on ACR 100-200. Fairly interesting hand that illustrates an important concept, I would say, overall. So without further ado, let's dive into it. So we have a 2.5x raise from Nacho on the button, 4x 3-bet from Muniz with a small blind. This 3-bet, I think these days solvers advise 3-betting a bit larger, but first of all, Muniz is old school, and also it's not a big EV difference. Just kind of makes it so that I think it's tougher for Muniz to have a cold calling range, and also Nacho just gets to flat a bit more with deuces and ace-x suited and hands like that. So yeah, we have a flop 4-6-8 two-tone. Generally better board for the caller given the low connected nature, but Muniz does opt for a half-pot bet, and the way these spots play is that even though, this is a relatively good board for Nacho, it's not that good where Muniz can't bet anything. So Muniz is supposed to split his range, take some of his good hands and some of his bluffs for betting, and most of his weak hands and some of his good hands for checking. But yeah, he goes half pot, so at this point we're putting a bunch of good hands and some semi-bluffs in his range. And then Nacho calls. Turn 6 of hearts, so another, good turn for Nacho's range in the sense that he got some new top range with 6x, and also none of the bluffs improved. Muniz goes ahead and checks, and Nacho goes for a half pot bet. Now, in this spot, I'm not sure this is the correct bet size. It feels a bit too big, but fair enough. I mean, half pot is generally a good simplification for bet sizes in this node. So if you're going to pick one size, pick this one. And probably solvers split several sizes. So this is probably fine, but important to understand. Again, there's a threshold for when you bet half pot, what's the worst hand that you're doing it with. Here, I'm not actually sure. I'm a bit confused. I'm thrown off because this is a big size. Is this an overpair? Can this be an 8? I have a feeling this needs to be stronger than an 8, actually. So yeah, we have a half pot and a call. Muniz, of course, can have some ace-highs here. Ace-highs beat bluffs. He could go bet check call with something like ace-king. Some traps, some medium-strength hands, maybe 7s, 8x, etc. Yeah, we get the river 3 of spades, so fairly big brick. Muniz checks, and Nacho checks back, and then we have a showdown. Muniz with a7 of clubs, so pre-flop good, flop good, turn good. I mean, hand makes sense to check call with, and river no decision. And Nacho has a 9 of diamonds, so pre-flop good, flop good, turn, like I said, fine, but the sizing is not the one I would choose. It's probably fine. And then the interesting thing here is the river give up, and I think this is one of the things that differentiates high-stakes players from lower-stakes players, is the ability to give up on a bluff that never wins a showdown, and kind of realizing that in this spot, because so much stuff brick, Nacho can't fire every single bluff, so he's managing his frequencies, he's giving up sometimes with hands that never win, and if he didn't do that, he'd be much easier to play against. So I dare to say well-play hand by Nacho despite him losing the pot. And let's dive into GTO Wizard to see what the solver magic has to say about this hand. Okay, so we are going to start with a pre-flop solution for NL10K with a 2.5x open size, 100 deep. We don't have the exact 3-bet size, but it shouldn't be a big issue. What you'll see is that the calling range has ace-deuce suited, ace-6 suited, deuces, 9-7 suited, jack-8 suited, all these hands mixing. So just assume those hands are in there a bit more, and that's going to make up for most of the difference. But yeah, we have a call, and we're going to solve post-flop with AI. Great solution. Everything is automated here, and we'll be able to put in the bet sizes that we want after we put in a flop, which is all very, very fast, very comfortable. So what we see first of all is that Muniz's strat, if he had to pick one sizing, it would be 67%, pretty close to what he did. Like I said, he has to play this split. He can't bet everything, but the board isn't bad enough where he doesn't want to bet anything. So you guys can see exactly the split I mentioned, and something like a7 of clubs is definitely okay to bet. It's a bit of a low frequency bet, and if you ask yourself why, you run into a bit of trouble because ace5 of clubs does bet and a7 of clubs doesn't bet, and we could dig into that, and there is a reason. But that's not a very productive form of study for us. There are more important things here, and we're not going to get into the weeds that much. We're going to change the bet size to 50%. We see that the a7 of clubs, again, never bets, but the EV is the same, and we're going to forgive Muniz for making this slight solver mistake. I wouldn't really call this a mistake. But yeah, he goes ahead and bets half pot. Nacho with almost no raises here. Solver only gives him a shove, but you know, versus this kind of range, you don't really need to raise. It's not like your opponent's betting everything. He's betting fairly polar, and 10-9 makes sense to call. I think so. We have a call. Turn was 6 of hearts. And here, said that the card doesn't improve anything. It's maybe a relatively good card. Nacho, but our overpairs can go for stacks, despite some stuff improving. And certainly if you have something like a7 here, it's just going to be a check a lot just because it has enough showdown value to check. Here we see a7 of clubs not in the range. Ace5 of clubs would bet, but could go either way. Most ace highs are going to be checking, but there's some mix going on here, and it's not very important. And again, I think the check line makes sense, and the important thing is what you do makes sense for your hand. We don't need to kind of catch these exact solver frequencies. Like we said, the hand is not even there. And for what it's worth, we can actually put it there because we're going to analyze as though it's there. I think we want to use the node locking function here. So we click this lock, and we're going to lock this specific hand to just bet more. So set strategy. Frequency 7. Yeah, this should do it. Just equalize the bets there. Make sure the hand is actually in the range. And we're not locking anything else, so just a7 is node lock to bet a bit more. We're going to have no EV difference, but it's going to be in the range for the turn. It's kind of important. We have a bet and a call, 6 of hearts. And on a turn, a7 of clubs is mixing, so we check. And Nacho's hand at 10-9 should bet. And the bet size, as I kind of suspected, is 25%. So Nacho's bet is too big because you kind of just want to bet all these pairs, right? 50% is a bit too big, but maybe Nacho has multiple sizes. So let's add, we'll throw in a 50% size. 50. Here you go. And 50% size can still go. I actually can still bet all these hands. It's just less efficient at betting. So I wasn't sure if you can bet an 8, but apparently you can definitely bet an 8. And you can bet 5s and 4s and 3s and deuces. And keep in mind that these hands, deuces through 5s, gain a lot of protection because they get counterfeited on an 8 or a 4. So when you bet these hands, due to getting extra protection, you can bet them even if they have less than 50% equity when called. But yeah, and I'm definitely betting an important hand to bet. And we go 50%. Muniz with his a7 of clubs looks like can actually raise all in. Can also call, definitely no folding. And he's going to call. We're going to get the 3 river. Check, and this is where we're expecting Nacho to have to give up with some bluffs. We do see this happening, so King, Jack, King, Queen gives up. All of this area specifically fires, and this is something you see in solvers often, where solver is kind of weird in the sense that it thinks you have showdown value with King, Jack checking back. Why does it think this? Because look at your opponent's range. Say you shove. Your opponent should have in solver land check all the turn with something like 10-9 of spades or jack-9 of clubs or jack-10 of clubs sometimes. Okay, this is how solvers work. Given You don't want to put all the draws in the betting bucket. Maybe you get raised or it's two face up, so it puts them there and then they're good enough to check call. That's not how humans play. The way humans play, King Jack's not going to show down and win. But yeah, if we kind of add here to this river and check. So why does 10-9 always bet? Kind of two things. One is the showdown value aspect, like we were saying. Another interesting to think about is that a large part of your value betting region has a 9, 10, or jack. Given that, it's nice to share cards with, like, have your bluffs share cards with your value bets. This just makes it a tougher bluff catching decision for your opponent, because otherwise maybe your opponent could call ace 10, right? Blocking 10s, or call ace 9, blocking 9s and 9-8. And beating all your bluffs. But if your bluffs share cards the same, that makes that strat a bit less effective. This region of hands like ace 9, ace 10, ace jack are now zero-ish EV, whereas if you didn't organize your blockers in that way, they would be plus EV, and the easy way to see that is by node locking. So what we want to do is set the strategy. Or if we click here, and we go always check. We say we want these hands to check. Okay, so it's going to pick different bluffs, right? Let's say we node lock this. Now it's going to recalculate. It's now going to start bluffing with these other hands. I'd actually forced to bluff with ace queen. Sorry. So we're forced to bluff with ace queen. And again, all these hands are losing because now we're bluffing with ace queen. So tricky stuff node locking with solver. So let's actually redo this, and we will go ahead and lock jack 10 back, and we don't want ace queen bluffing. But why is it resetting everything when I do that? Oh, here again. So I want guess that strategy. Jack 10. Be back to bluffing. And ace queen. As bluffing ace queen is not fair or demonstrating what I want to demonstrate. Right? That doesn't work. We can even add some jack 9s. So now the bluffing range is going to look like this. So we're not into bluffing all our ace 7s and all our ace 5s yet. But when which is not here, when we go all in, our opponent can now call ace jack, ace 10 for a small profit. And of course, if this were more extreme, it would be a bigger profit. And the solver might be doing things to mitigate this anyway. It's worth like value betting a bit thinner. But yeah, anyway, that is the idea. And kind of cool concept with the cards, the bluffs, and the value sharing combos. But yeah, hope you guys enjoyed the video. Let me know what you think in the comments. I'll see you guys next time.